where I remember him coming in. He'd been out on the streets for days. And literally the bottoms of his feet were just like hamburger meat, because he had just been walking and walking and searching to do drugs.
Newlywed Judy Smith already knew about her husband Sidney's occasional bouts with drugs. But this was the sign of a full-blown addiction.
And he just turned around and looked at me again with tears in his eyes and just said, "I'm not going to make it, am I?"
I knew in my mind that I couldn't quit, because I had tried.
They met at a job interview in 1994 in Gulfport, Mississippi. Sidney, coming from Oakland, California, was hoping for a new start. Judy was the hiring manager.
Had a real leadership ability about him, because he would take charge of something once he was given a task to do.
So Judy not only hired Sidney, she fell for him. But she didn't know the whole story. He grew up in a poor neighborhood in Oakland. But unlike many, he never had to do without. His mom worked hard to make sure of that. But what Sidney really needed was her love and attention. He got neither. At 12 years old, he downed a bottle of pills, desperate for any sign she cared.
I just felt like I wanted her attention and I couldn't get it, and I was willing to go to whatever extremes I could to get her attention. The next thing I knew, I was having my stomach pump. I remember going to like an institution and being left there. It broke my heart.
It was only a matter of time before he discovered drugs and would spend the next several years buying and selling them and stealing to satisfy his habit.
Chasing that feeling outweighed everything else in importance, and it provided an escape. You know, I didn't have to deal with anything.
Numerous attempts at rehab failed. By the time he left for Mississippi at 23, he was an addict, running from police and desperately hoping for a new start.
I didn't want to be a drug addict, and I knew that I was.
When he had met Judy, he was able to hide the depth of his addiction. But now, after a few months of marriage, the truth had come out.
I knew that it would be her that left before I would change.
But Judy, a Christian, saw Sidney through God's eyes, where there was potential and hope.
And so the hope gave me some direction to some faith that God was drawing me into this for a reason.
Keeping hope alive was another matter. Arrested in 1996 on outstanding warrants, Sidney would spend 13 years behind bars. Despite finding religion in prison, he relapsed soon after his release.
I just didn't have what I needed inside of me. Nothing satisfied the hole. It was like a bottomless pit.
Disappearing at times for weeks, Sidney would bounce between bouts of sobriety and addiction.
And there were points in time for me when I was desperately sad, afraid, angry, resentful. I went through all of those things, but it would always come back full circle to have the hope.
Then in 2010, his parole officer recommended he go to the faith-based rehab program, Teen Challenge. There, Sidney had to face the hurt and anger.
I just angrily screamed out at God. You know, if you're who you say you are, here's an earnest, from the bottom of my heart, opportunity for you to show up and fix me, because I'm done. I felt like I had walls that I had built up, you know, to protect me from other people all my life. I felt like he just reached out and they just turned to dust.
Sidney says at that moment he gave his life to Christ, realizing that through Judy, God had been showing his love for him all along.
Because it didn't matter who I was or what I had done. I was still loved and accepted even in the worst position in my life, and she still wanted me. And that, you know, I feel the same thing when God saved me. That's the exact same feeling that just overwhelmed me, no matter what I did, you know, and no matter who I'd hurt or how many times I'd failed, he didn't care. He loved me.
The part of him that I had always loved, the joyful, kind, compassionate, loving person, and he was so willing to do whatever it took. And again, I guess that's just the God, the hope, the faith in me that just believed.
In 2013, at 43 years old, Sydney graduated from Teen Challenge and is still drug-free. He went on to earn a master's degree in social work, and today works as a substance abuse counselor in Mississippi.
Well, it had to be God. There's no other way. I couldn't have done it on my own, of my own free will or my own volition. I wouldn't have been strong enough.
I got God's attention, and it satisfies everything.